of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all in that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hero of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
Good afternoon or good evening. Welcome to an A.H.A.D moment, the calm before the storm. I'm your host,
Fakir Abdul Aziz.
I'm your host.
And his co-host is Adam Saleem, and I am the
Lord Holy-Apostle
regular
Deen
guest.
Saleem, the regular special guest here on an A.H.A.D moment. May I say I'm Fakir Abdul Aziz, just to make sure I do remember. That is
I'm sorry I had to punch him in his face because he's been doing this off camera all day.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
remember his name.
Still trying to recover from it, yes. We want to say good greetings to you. May Ahezaah's peace and other blessings be within and about your presences. We're talking to you and the TV audience of New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, as well as our studio audience here. And also to acknowledge that she's not on set right now, Holy Queen Mother Rabbi Saleem.
Yes, she may be.
May Ahezaah's peace and other blessings be within and about her presence. I understand she may be joining us.
Right.
We go right into our subject matter, Brother Adam. Subject matter: spirituality.
Right.
We're going to talk about spirituality, and in the subject, I'm sure you're gonna enlighten us, Lord. You'll enlighten us on it being distinct from religion, being distinct from what the general population thinks of, what may think that spirituality is something like just religion or emotionality, and getting involved in,
I hadn't thought that far, but yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
And there was one particular, I guess we'll talk about the spiritual.
Well, before we go on, let me get your two takes on what you think spirituality actually is.
I would say that spirituality is your relationship with the Lord Ahezaah, and how you perceive it and how you come to worship it is your spirituality, as opposed from your religion being your way of life.
I am completely envious and jealous of this young man because I grappled with that subject for some time, and I could not quite understand spirituality outside of the realm of how I'd been taught it, emotionality or just the idea of being spiritual, talking spiritual type of talk or that type of language. Not the reality that Ahezaah is a very real thing and involved with you. That is your involvement,
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I got my...
Well, I'm glad you affirmed him as being right when you don't know if he is correct or not. You just assumed. But spirituality is more than what he said, and it's much more than what you gather now. First of all, we have 7 bodies of being, like what one of the young ladies had said before we got on the camera. And one of those bodies of being is our spiritual body. Spirituality rests in our spiritual body. Spirituality exists in our spiritual body. We manifest spirituality from our spiritual body. Now, what he is talking about is his materialized verbal conversations and physicality in regards to Ahezaah. So that's what you just confirmed or affirmed and said, oh, right, okay. No. Where most people make their mistakes is they follow the devil. The devil does something. The advocates of the devil, they spend their lives in tricknology, trying to throw curves on the pathway of truth. You understand? Now, that's why we have a problem in religion, so-called religion, with the realization of spirituality, the conversation of spirituality, the acknowledgement of spirituality, Because the devil has made us think that spirituality is emotionality, or emotionology, or emotionality. When you're emotional and you bring that into a reality of your life, an act of being, or when you talk with a certain attitude of religion that people have, and they say, "Oh, that's so spiritual," or when you sing, you know, spirituality is an actual reality of your being. It's a life circle. It's from your spiritual body. Now, we talk about the soul, and most people think the soul is located in here. When the Lord El has told me, Ahezaah, in the name of Ahezaah, has told me, and Gabriel has told me, and I've been shown that it is aside from us, but it's attached to us. Each person's soul is attached by this, what they call an umbilical cord, of universal umbilical cord, you know. And as to where, when you pass off from this life into the next, you go on the coast, or the course of that umbilical cord to the life hereafter. And it's attached to your soul. No matter what realm you're in, your soul is still attached to you. And it's not physical. The soul is not physically materialized. It's of a high essence, the highest essence of spiritual being. It's what commands the spirit. It speaks to the host of that body, the host of mind, through the spirit, and that's what we call a conscience. Your instinctive natures, which comes in your conscience, it's from your soul, but it comes down through your spiritual body. Your spiritual body ventures in all bodies and relates. Your soul is attached to all bodies of your being. So when your umbilical cord, the attachment to your soul is broken, that aspect of your body dies. So when it's physically broken, you physically die. If it's spiritually broken, you spiritually die. If it's mentally broken, you mentally die. Huh? That's why they say you can lose your soul, or you could break the bridge of your soul, be lost from the bridge of your soul. You know, be mindful. Don't ignore the Lord Most High, because you may not hear the call of your conscience and lose your connection with your soul. You see? Lose your ability to hear it. So it's like once you are detached from that soul, then that aspect of your being that is detached from it passes on. Is finished. So what is spirituality? It's an actual aspect of your life, an actual part of your being. Some may not understand it, just like some may not understand the emotional body. Some may not understand the mental body. Some may not understand the physical body and how it's supposed to work properly, and how it's supposed to be fed, and how it's supposed to be treated. You know, how it's the physical vehicle of your body on earth. And that it is relegated to earth alone. But other aspects of your body can go elsewhere. In the spiritual realm. So, spirituality is not a conversation. Spirituality is not a feeling. Spirituality is a living in the body of your spirit. Recognition of a life in your spirit. Want to tap him on that leg again?
Lord, that,
I envy this brother. He sounds so right to me.
Lord, that aspect of that entity, the physical entity that's in your body, is that what now just like comes down to that many mistake for the soul? The actual.
Wait a minute, you got to say that over. You sound like Idris there. I couldn't understand a word you said.
Do many people mistake the spirit to be the soul because of what they sense about it?
Yeah. What it is people have been misled into believing that the spirit is the soul, or the emotions is the soul, or a good feeling is the soul. They've been misled. Like I said, the devil throw curves in every possible way to keep mankind away from the truth. That's why we need messengers from the Lord El, the creator, the author, the owner of man and minds, to revisit us, to re-advise us, to reassert us in truth. You know, we need that. People will always want to say there's no more messengers, no more prophets from Allah. Allah is finished. They just want, that's the devil who want that. Every man that say Prophet Muhammad is the last, they supporting the devil. When they say Prophet Muhammad is the final prophet, they supporting the devil. They all want the devil, they all want Allah to stop. They don't want Allah to continue to send messengers and prophets. Because if Allah don't, then the devil controls the world and keep it.
Yes.
You know? Now you think about how vehemently angry people get when you say no, Prophet Muhammad is not the last. And they have no knowledge, no authority, but they've been told that. And you think about how they get aroused and full of commotion. Tell me that's a man or woman with reasoning from the Lord Allah. Tell me. No, because they get emotional without thinking. That's from the devil. Their devil is ruling in them. And they're not aware of it. It's cutting them off spiritually from their soul conscience. They're the voice of their soul that's telling them the truth continuously. Allah never stops. Allah is ever continuous. Why would Allah be ever continuous in everything about life except it's communicating with us? What sense does that make?
I hear people when they say a person's soul, their soul. I wanted to know, like, exactly how could somebody sell their soul, or like, is that the same thing as putting up equals with Ahezaah?
Yeah, that's an expression. Selling your soul to the devil. You know, selling your soul for a measly price. What it is selling is exchanging. Mm-hmm. So they use the terminology. This is like selling merchandise. You would value your soul as merchandise, and you would sell it for a measly price. What's your measly price? To gain power for a little while in life? To gain riches for a little while in life? That's what people do. You know? Look at the African American people who have been raised to levels of freedom. We all get together. We all march like Martin Luther King and the new marching leaders that we got. Like, give me one of them. Sharpton, like Sharpton. You know, I want to talk about somebody that's still here. Like Sharpton, maybe Jesse Jackson. We march.
Farrakhan.
Right? Farrakhan.
Yeah.
We get to a point where we leaders are free. But we keep our people marching. Look at the athletes who make millions of dollars, trillions of dollars. You got some who give their money to charity, you know, wholeheartedly, and they believe they're doing the right thing. But they may be giving their charity in the wrong direction. Why isn't it that somebody amongst our leaders don't know to gather all those freemen and put forth together an institution of education to free all our people. And I'm not just talking about education like what you get at Howard University or Yale or somewhere, some college, Rutgers. I'm not talking about that kind of education. I'm talking about divine education where men will know the difference between true freedom, the freedom of El, and the false freedom, freedom in a cage with, you know, like they say this is the land of the free America. You could go any place you want to go. You could speak free and worship free, but you do those things in the wrong place and you find out that there's all a lie. In the same way you're free to live anywhere you want to live, the Ku Klux Klan think they free to hang you and burn a cross on your house for living there. You see? So you know, it's like we as a people, we don't know that by us reaching levels of freedom that we were supposed to turn back to bring our families, our lineage. We all get free and then it's like, yeah, I made it. Now you got to make it. And you got to make it in the same way I made it. No. You don't have to come exactly in the way I come. You know? But it's my duty, my responsibility. Let's just look at this. Ahezaah then gave me information. It then gave me knowledge, experience. It then gave me insight. It then made me rich in spirituality, rich of my soul. What do? Do I take it and stand above you all? No. I bring it back to you and try to share it and show you how to get it so we all have it. And that's what's missing with our people, with our leaders, our so-called leaders. Now, in the religious aspects, they take emotionality to the highest level and call it spirituality. They got schools and places like that where men go learn how to speak, how to talk religion. How to, oh Lord, no, can I get an amen? You know. And people think that's spirituality. I was going down the road and Lord stopped me, yeah. And people said, boy, that sermon was great. They went and seen a show. They were entertained. And they think that's bringing them nearer to the Lord El. See, you could be sincere to the bone and be doing wrong. You could take food, money, clothing, all kinds of things to a guy on the street, a devil, one who has cursed the law, cursed Ahezaah, cursed all the religious truths, and cursed all the religious people of truth. And you see him, don't know what he has done, and you go and try to change his condition, try to undo Allah's curse and damnation on him, and you think you doing right. Without spirituality, without having a realization and a life in your spiritual body, which connects you most closely, most nearly with your soul, you would not know to hear the voice inside to tell you whether to help that individual or not. So here you go, serving the devil, thinking you serving Allah. Now, one of the problems I have in dealing with people that I've had in the circle of our religious communities and what have you, is them not being true to themselves. them wanting you to pat them on the back when they evil, pardon their evil, act as though it don't exist, congratulate them for the little things they do that appear to be good, for whatever reason they do it, and ignore that they are ignorant of the commandments of the Lord El. That's a problem I have, and that's a problem that I see in all the religious circles. Instead of people being truth, being of the truth, being of the Lord El, they are of themselves. And they will pat an evil person on the back just to compromise, just to save ground. Now you tell me, how did our religious leaders who are supposed to be fearful of Allah, fearful of whatever they call Allah, God, and respectful of Allah or God, how in the world did they get into the political circles where they fear the government or God?
Because God is something that you
Because
work.
God is their government leaders. See, they weren't true to Allah in the beginning. They wasn't true to God or Jesus or whomever in the beginning. That's why they could go and surrender to a politician. And they could take the divine laws and put them behind their back and put up the government laws. They see uneven justice in the justice system, and they honor that and say they're of the Lord. The religious leaders. We already know that it's been happening with the Caucasians, but this is happening with African Americans who they let through the doors. Because you ain't getting through the door if you're truthful. Not in this society. If you truthful, you ain't got a friend up there. Because they fear the truth. They fear true spirituality. They don't want nobody coming up there with true spirituality. They want somebody coming up there acting and putting on a show and talking about, let's march. You know, since y'all done killed 29 of us, let's march. You know?
How can you talk about, like, you know, in a situation where you might try to help somebody who's homeless or in a desperate situation, you try to help them, and you might be making a mistake by thinking you're doing something pleasing to Allah, or be doing something that's against Allah. How can you hear your to make the right choice?
You got to surrender to the commandments of the Lord that's written in His holy scripture, that's spoken through His messengers. You got to surrender to that path of the way, so that the Lord will favor you and give you the avenue that you would where you would come to insight to recognize the steps you need to take and where you need to be and how you need to be and what you need to be involved in at all times, so that you don't have that problem. It's easy to become blind if the Lord don't give you eyes to see. You need the Lord's eyesight. You need the Lord's insight. You need the Lord's hindsight. You need His wisdom. See, we go about life claiming all these things for ourselves, not realizing that everything belongs to the Lord. Now, if you want right, you got to get it from the righteous. You can't spend 99% of your time being right and then take 1% and say, okay, this is the percentage I'm going to be wrong. And I'm going to enjoy myself in this. The Lord is not going to accept you like that. In that 1%, if you fall, you're supposed to be trying to be right. Not accepting you're wrong because you do 99% good. The Lord will take that 1% and weigh it over that 99%. That's why it tells you, it warns you in the Holy Quran to not follow up injury with the goodness, the good of the things you do. Don't follow up your charity, your good charity, or your good works with injury. Things that will cause it to frown upon you. Every day people get up, billions of people get up and they sin. Before they even open their eyes, they sinning. Thinking that something in the world belongs to them. Possessing things. Not putting the Lord first, foremost, and last. Looking at themselves as an individual that's independent of the Almighty. Oh, in words they'll say, no, nothing is independent of God. God has control of everything. Well, how much do we have control of your conversation? You know? How much control do it have, you know, in your mind about you, for real? When people practice in this way, they're called insane, deluded, you know, too far gone, and what have you. That's why they always said the prophets were psychotic, or, you know, psychologically imbalanced and stuff like that there. They always said they were insane, all of them. Why? Because we practice in this way of giving it all to where it belongs. And they say, you have no balance. Who say you have no balance? The devil saying it. You've been sent down to earth to live. Why don't you live? That's what the devil said to Eve. Here, take a bite. Live. Take a bite of this apple. The Lord just don't want you to have freedom like it has. Come on. Enjoy. And Eve took it back to Adam. Adam, being blinded by her in his own foolishness, took a bite himself. And in that story, not to say that the women are bad, but in that story there's a tale. Men still follow their women, no matter how strong they claim to be, no matter how mighty. That woman whisper in that ear, because man has a tendency to let his little brain overrule his big brain.
I had a question, and I believe it's been answered. It's all in Ahezaah. That level of confidence in serving Ahezaah, even like the person who wants to go out and do the right, do the charity, but he goes with a level of confidence, a level of he's trying to affect the thing, make something work in that service.
You ever hear about a courageous man, a warrior that has no fear? He's a fool.
Can we come back to our audience with that point? And we're going to close out to our Brooklyn audience and ask them to rejoin us the next setting of an A.H.A.D moment. And as such, we'll stay with our New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania
Who of you
audience. So the Brooklyn
want to
audience
do
may I-
things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things